All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today and check out its local search or city search, see if either of them got BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe. So we take declining boudoir photographers, make them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More of that and, like the pinned post or whatever, featured post on this profile. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So for Ryzen, we're probably getting everyone across the entire intent spectrum, the intent ladder here. High intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And if boudoir photographer, their business is falling, probably missing chunks of people here in the intent spectrum. So here we talk about way on the left, BSS. So we're focusing on the highest intent people, the people searching for boudoir photo shoots in their city right now on social media and in Google search. So closest to the money, easiest to close. And way over at the other end, that's the lowest intent people in our city. Got to reach them with interruption ads via Instagram and Facebook. Maybe they know what boudoir is. Maybe they've never heard of it. We got to educate them. And so that's what we talk about on our other brand, Boudoir FD Ad Doctor. We talk about BLCS. And right now we're only working with boudoir. Over there, we're only working with boudoir photographers, spending more than 10 grand per month on boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so boudoir search sameness. BSS, that's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google search for the highest intent keywords. So 0 slots, we're going to be dead soon if we got 0 slots on page 1. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page 1. They're page 1 only. So that means approximately 20% go to page 2 and deeper. So we care about this 80%, the bulk of the market. This is who we're going to focus on. So if we got 0 slots, we're invisible to 80% of the market, which means we're basically an invisible business. If we got 1 slot, we're still essentially invisible because we look the same as everyone else. If there's 10 organic slots page 1 on Google, if other peeps, if there's 9 other boudoir photographers than us, that means, we got 1 link same as everyone else, and a buyer's just going to go down page 1 Google search, control click, right click, open a new tab, everyone, shoot a message to everyone, get price quotes, compare pricing, and price shop everyone on page 1. But if we can get more real estate on page 1 and fewer competitors on page 1, we actually get price shop less. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google is not normal. It's extremely common, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, and the previously unknown root cause, which we now know, is actually the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, that's when someone gets a new phone, they are a new iPhone, they throw up their own Google My Business profiles, and then actually boudoir, they got their own website. They're trying to compete with us for page 1 Google supremacy. And as a result, we also got people getting a new camera, then they start posting the mom groups on Facebook, and they also offer boudoir photography. So market saturation means more sellers to the same number of buyers. That's literally what it means. It means it's harder and harder for each seller to win. So everyone understands also big market saturation happened during COVID. People couldn't work, people lost their jobs, and they had to, big flood of boudoir photographers came into the market then because people had to, because they needed to earn money somehow. Now, the previously unknown root cause, the second one, is the false belief of page 1 equality. And what that is, so the default belief of page 1 equality, which kind of people automatically accepted, they didn't really think about it because there was no term to actually describe it, is actually kind of assuming or just accepting that, every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google for their website, and if the market gets saturated, it pushes off page 1 to page 2, because some new websites ranking higher. Well, that's how it is, and that's simply how it is, whatever. That's the game, and hopefully someone deletes their website, so maybe we can get back on page 1 and Google lets us back in. But no, that is 100% false. That is a false belief, and we have to simply accept that. What I've discovered is Google will actually give us as many links and slots on page 1 Google search as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And I use this strategy that we're going to talk about to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in Google search in 10 days. So we'll talk about that in like 3 or 4 more pictures here. Next up, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSS, Boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing Boudoir photographer. So if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're on page 2, we're invisible to the 80%, approximately 80% bulk of the market. Disappearing Boudoir photographer, we got disappeared onto page 2. And if we're, one slot on page 1 of Google, then we're also disappearing because we're not visible. I mean, people don't see no difference between us and everyone else on page 1 of Google. Literally nothing different. And there's a clicking price shop plus everyone down page 1. And again, approximately 80% of Google searches never even go to page 2. So we don't got to worry. We literally don't have to worry about page 1. And disappearing Boudoir photographer, it's the canary in the coal mine. If one becomes a disappearing boudoir photographer, pretty soon thereafter, the boudoir photography business will disappear as well. But now we have a solution. So we now know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology that we invented. And again, this is exactly the strategy, the methodology I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 in 10 days. And this is the only strategy for boudoir photographers that I've seen I can actually successfully fight back and against market saturation and continue to grow market share. And so it works by, and we'll go deeper into it, but the name, social search saturation. We saturate social search for our highest intent keywords. It's kind of like the feeder rivers, small feeder rivers from the Andes Mountains end to the Amazon. And kind of all that reputation, the keyword dominance on search flows into the Amazon River, page 1 Google search, and the pages thereafter for what we want to rank for. And so, this is the only thing that I've seen that successfully fights back against market saturation and basically kind of makes it null and void. Because imagine we're in Las Vegas, imagine there's 1 million boudoir photographers total, we're one of them. Everyone's got a boudoir photography website, everyone's trying to rank on Google, page 1 Google. But if we crank up S-cube methodology to the maximum, and let's say we rank, the first 300 slots across all social platforms for search, and as a result, we also rank the first 300 slots Google for search for the highest intent keywords for boudoir photographer buyers. Then anytime a buyer in our city literally searches anywhere, most likely Google, 90% of searches still, approximately 90% of searches still happen on Google. Then we got the first 300 slots and there's 10 organic slots per page. We got the first 30 pages all to ourselves for the organic slots. And all the other competitors in organic, they start on page 31. No one's going to page 31. So even if the market's ultra saturated with 1 million boudoir photographers, whose business is still growing? Ours. Whose business is disappearing? All the other boudoir photographers, because they cannot be found. And guess what? Approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only, which means we really only got to worry about page 1 and take as much, we say GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 is what we want to take. But, S-cubed methodology gives us a pathway to take as many slots on page 1 as we want, if we put in the effort to acquire those slots. Now, once treated with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. A bonus of this is every new slot we take on Google page 1 is we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Again, that's because we actually know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And this is all we care about. This is the bulk of the market, the approximately 80% of searches that happen like this. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. Now, our GBC recommended is always to hit 3 out of the 10 slots on page 1, and that helps with boudoir search visibility because everyone else is going to have most likely 1 slot on page 1. So when they see 3 versus 1, when buyers see 3 versus 1, they're instinctively going to say, wow, why is Google recommending this person so many different times? I'll just go with this person that's got the 3 slots. There is a tiny, tiny, tiny chance that another boudoir photographer will have 2 slots, but in those tiny chances, our 3 slots will always overwhelm them. So that's why we want boudoir search visibility. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We now know it's false, but when people believed it prior, they never thought to try a solution to overcome it because they thought it was just the default, just how it is. But we've proven, we'll see in the next picture, proven that that's incorrect. We now have the path, we now have the solution, our own proprietary S-cubed methodology to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and to have boudoir search visibility. So my results using S-cubed methodology for myself. So I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I employed S-cubed methodology. Go down to the organics here. So we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots, Google search page 1, in 10 days, exclusively using S-cubed methodology. And I was using it on the minimum setting, like kind of the minimum, kind of the minimum frequency. So you can see the results that I got. All right, main event here. Gonna check out this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it's local search, city search, if we got BSS here. All right, so we're going to Pooler, Georgia, then Savannah, Georgia. All right, Pooler, Georgia. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one, we got one, we got one. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 local search. Check Savannah. Let's check Savannah. Boom, we got 1 Savannah. So we got 1 in our city search. All right, so local search we got 1 out of 10. City search we got 1 out of 10. So we got BSS for both boudoir search sameness, and for both of them we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you went and you've done your local search, your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, you noticed you either had BSS, so you have BSS for either one or both of those searches, or you are you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google for, again, either 1 or 2 of those slots, and you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and you've actually seen Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. So you're saying, okay, now S-cubed methodology makes sense, and you're seeing that this is the only path forward for yourself, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. And you're liking the initial benefits more, page 1 links on Google. You're liking the second initial benefit, which is actually like the second one a little bit more, which is you're able to kick your competitors off of Google, make them invisible, page 2 and deeper. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, more, new gear eventually over time. More people hop on to become boudoir photographers, so it gets harder and harder over time. But you're looking ahead and you're like, man, AI is currently taking people's jobs. And last time people lost jobs, COVID, a new flood of boudoir photographers came in because everyone's got a smartphone with great camera. So it's easy to start saying shoot boudoir down now, offer it cheaply, kill margins for everyone. I'll later compete in boudoir photographers, kind of just annoy, basically like take up slots page 1 on Google. And so you're seeing, okay, you're seeing more and more people are going to be entering the marketplace above and beyond the people getting new gear, forced to because of losing their job due to AI. So you're like, okay, we need to actually fortify our slots on page 1 and actually have so many backup links that Google wants to rank us on page 1. But since there's only 10 slots, literally it cannot rank us anymore. But those backup slots will literally be like preventing current competitors from ever ranking on page 1 or any future competitors from ranking on page 1. Kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city is below sea level, fortifying against the ocean. So you're seeing, okay, you got to fortify, and you're like, oh, S-cubed methodology will give me that future benefit as well. That's the exact perfect tool to use to achieve that goal. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need these things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also looking ahead to the future and the future benefits that we haven't talked about yet of utilizing S-Cube methodology, which is, we're kind of building these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, our website name, our business name, our name, kind of out there on the internet. And it's kind of like, columns to the, Parthenon, Athens, Greece, or, the spokes into our hub, like them in, the center of a bike tire. Our business name's the hub. So we've got all of these columns plugged into us. And what this is like building AI mindshare for those keywords: age, relevance, frequency, authority, repetition. So we're building AI mindshare for these keywords. And every day we successfully do this, which is exactly what S-Cube methodology does, we are increasing the probability we'll be recommended here in the most premium placement AI overview up at the top of Google search, which we cannot pay for with ads to get. And so you're seeing that benefit, you're liking that feature benefit. You're also understanding that, well, if it's helping with that, it will also increase probability of every single day of being recommended on AI search, ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. You're recognizing the more kind of invisible thematic keyword columns you plug into your brand, the higher and higher probability every single day recommended to searchers on those platforms. And yeah, Google still owns approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is growing every single day, and Google's kind of slowly decaying every single day, standard Google search. So you're recognizing that you want these benefits, and you're also recognizing, since my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, you can actually box out your competitors from ever using this strategy, get all the benefits against them, the two immediate benefits, the 3 future benefits, and the 4th one would be, grown actually a known brand, approximately 8x faster than conventional methods. And you would, you're recognizing you could actually put massive distance between yourself and any of your current competitors or any future competitors, where basically you get so far ahead, there's like literally basically no chance for them to catch up. And as a result, when you actually want to, since you decided to be first mover on this, because you understand if a competing boudoir photographer hops on this first, then you'd be locked out. You'd be getting kicked off page 1 of all the highest intent Google searches. They'll get to page 2 and deeper, where approximately 80% of the market will never ever see you because they're page 1 and done searches. And we would actually be making up massive progress against you, boxing you out from ever getting on page 1. And me and your competitor would be building up massive momentum and invisible thematic keyword column backend AI mindshare, kind of invisibly with the AI search recommenders. And I remember last time I did AI search for boudoir photographers in a city with ChatGPT, and it recommended me 3. And I actually went and did manual search Google and Facebook simply to see how many are actually out there. Dude, there's like 60. So you're seeing, yeah, we definitely gotta find some way to get on these AI searches. And you actually want, you're saying that if a competitor is making all this momentum, then making all this progress, and you're frozen out, you'd actually have to rederive S-Cube methodology yourself, or drive it for the first time. You would never actually trust that you've derived it 100% correctly, but then you'd have to execute same amount as us every single day. And if you did all that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap between your competitor and me and you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our effort, our output every single day. And then if you were to do that, then you could steal back some of the AI mindshare momentum from us, get some links, but you would never feel 100% confident you've even derived the strategy correct in the first place. So you'd probably not even feel confident putting in the time to do all that. Out execute us 2 to 3x every single day. And plus, who's got 80 hours a day to do that? So you decide to screw that. You decide to be the first mover in your city, block out all your competitors from using this strategy. And if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when I do open the hospital up for new patients, shoot us a DM, and we'll see if you qualify to use our S-Cubed methodology.